This is the flag of Tampa, Florida. Nah, I'm just messing with you. This is the flag of Tampa, Florida. What on earth were they smoking while making this? Well, the answer is that literally every single flag designer in the United States was smoking some horrible stuff while drawing their flags. So to make fun of every American who has ever attended a flag designing committee in their life, we're going to be ranking the bottom 10 worst flags that the United States has to offer. The biggest question is, of course, how is there a bottom 10? There's way more than 10 bad flags in the United States. Well, true, but you see, I am using a list made by experts, aka nerds, whose job it is to rank flags and talk about design principles. These people are called vexillologists, which is a very fancy word for I have a lot of free time on my hands. One such group of vexillologists is called the North American Vexillological Association, which is called NAVA for short. And they truly love their surveys. In 2001, they asked visitors of the website to rank a bunch of US state and Canadian province flags, which conclusively decided New Mexico is by far the best flag of all time. Riding off the massive success of this survey, they did another one in 2004 where they asked their visitors to rate 150 different US city flags. And let me tell you, that list is absolutely wild, because it took about 20 flags, about a tenth of the list, for the flags to start looking really bad. As you can imagine, NAVA's authority on flag designs really showed the American public how dire the situation was in many of the cities of the United States, as most flags are, well, you already know. In fact, this survey was influential enough to bring change to multiple flags which were truly abhorrent, and you probably even know what flags I'm talking about. So to commemorate the 20-year anniversary of this influential survey, why don't we just take a look at the worst of the bunch and see if they're any better 2 decades onward. Montpelier is the capital of Vermont, and the flag used in the survey truly reflects the scenic landscape that Vermont is so well known for. I mean, look at the shading. The buildings also helped me learn about the city, as otherwise I would have never learned they have a cube? Anyway, this flag is really bad, as you could tell, and that's without even mentioning the text on the flag, though that's mostly because I'm just used to it by this point. Although the font really makes it worse. So fortunately for us, the city government realized this and switched to a design that is much better looking, with 14 stars to represent the 14 counties of Vermont, and a bunch of hills on the bottom of the flag. And it's a really good thing that they added those mountains, because otherwise I would just assume that Vermont got independence again and joined the European Union to spy the United States. Overall, a pretty solid flag, let's hope it stays that way. So, I don't really know anything about Cedar Rapids, and honestly, I assume you don't either, so I can just say anything I want about it. The flag makes sure to tell me everything I need to know about it though, showing me its old ancient cabin, the modern, what I assume to be a city hall, and the futuristic factories, topped off with a generic motto and some really bad font choice. In short, it well and truly earned its place on the list. The good people of Cedar Rapids don't have to endure rancid flag designs anymore though, as in 2021 a new flag was unveiled which looks substantially better, if a bit generic. The blue represents a river, the green is an island in the city, and the star represents the historic buildings on the island. The 5 points illustrate the 5 C's. Did you really need to give an explanation for why you have 5 points on a 5-pointed star, the most common shape for a star? It's a pretty common trend for modern designers to give too much symbolism to flags. However, considering what it replaced, I don't really think I have any right to criticize it, so good job Cedar Rapids. Also, having done some research, it turns out there's some significant Czech heritage here. So if I may propose a new design. Provo, Utah! You already know this flag, and by God is it iconic. The rainbow gradient going across the flag and the massive text showing that what you are looking at is, of course, Provo. What else could it be? Centrum Vitamins apparently, which the flag looks suspiciously similar to. After the survey was released, the flag received a lot of significant backlash, prompting the mayor of the city to change the flag to something more appealing. Although I want to drop my hot take for the day and say that this flag isn't even truly as bad as people say. And I don't mean this in detriment of the flag, it just seems so bad because it stands out in a sea of mediocre if not awful flags, but I'd say that what really blows it down is the fact that it just looks so boring. Could work as a logo, but you know, flags are not logos. So what did they change it to? It's okay. It just looks like the flag for a mineral water brand, which is not bad. I really dig the logo, but it's a fine enough job that I can excuse it. At least it's not another seal. Speaking of seals, you have to do a really bad job at designing your seal to make it this far down the list, and Lubbock? My god, Lubbock, what were you thinking? I will comfort you, however, by saying that this is not the official flag, and to be honest, I don't even know where they pulled this one out from. The real official flag is even funnier because it looks exactly like what you'd expect a Texan city flag to look like, with the Texas flag plastered in the back, along with an obligatory seal that makes sure to tell me where it is, so I can avoid it when I go to Texas. Also, it kind of looks like a football from distance. Since this has never been changed, probably in part due to the fact that the Nava flag reputation destroyers targeted the wrong flag.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? I love you.
Unofficial flag of Lubbock, Texas.
I can conclusively say that this is the worst one on the list just yet. Hialeah? More like Hialeah. This is a very boring flag. Overcomplicated seal on a white sheet with some text. Although it is a suburb of Miami, so I can forgive it for not having anything interesting to tell about itself. A quick glance on Wikipedia tells me that this city has one of the highest proportions of Latin Americans in any city in the United States outside of Puerto Rico, which by the way has some banger flags, at 94% of the population. So why not change it to... Nah, I've already done this joke. Fine, I'll compromise on this. Easily the worst on the list so far, although proposals have been made before. Great people, quality service is what the flag says in a beautiful shade of italics, which is coincidentally what anyone would write about a suburban city which has zero distinctive features. The flag itself weirdly has a logo plastered on the left, which other than being a gradient, isn't really something to brag about. Now, this flag really got screwed over because they adopted it in 2004, which is the exact same year the survey was made. Had they done it maybe a year later, maybe they would have been spared this humiliation. The Mesa story takes a turn for the positive, however, as this is not an official flag, and perhaps prompted by the results of the survey, Mesa did adopt a new flag the following year, and oh my god. Rarely can I say that a flag goes hard, but Mesa did its best to blow me over. This is such a badass cactus, which means I am inclined to say that this is the best flag on this list, perhaps even by some margin. Okay, this is where it gets really bad. How bad, you ask? Well, just look at the Milwaukee flag. That is the flag of the city, and if I said that Cedar Rapids does a good job about telling me what's in the city, Milwaukee takes it to the logical extreme, showing me pretty much everything the city has to offer, including wheat, what seems to be a genie, and a promise to revive the native Algonquian people, judging by the Indian guy's head on the flag. In fact, it really seems that the only thing this flag gets right is just the background color. Actually, no, scratch that, this is the most generic choice they could have went with. Milwaukee did have some interesting proposals in the past, including this one, which is interesting. In 2016, a new flag was proposed, and that is a truly beautiful flag. The sun rising over Lake Michigan is such a strong image, and the symbolism that the flag has isn't even necessary to understand the message it carries, Cedar Rapids. So was this flag adopted? Of course not. You bet there was some opposition from the city council who claimed the flag doesn't represent the whole city, so unfortunately, actually don't know if you're old, so if you want, people in power prevent Milwaukee from taking the top spot, so for now, Milwaukeeans will have to accept the bottom spot. To be honest with you, I can't really tell if this flag is official either, since the mayor denied its existence and Wikipedia doesn't even show the flag, but if that is one ugly motherfucker. I would go down on the whole flag, but who puts a yellow seal on a white background? That is such a bad contrast, it doesn't even deserve to be talked about. Especially considering Nava's list used some JPEG file for the flag, which meant I couldn't even see what the seal said. I thought it was a yellow Manchester United and I was ready to give negative points for that, but as it's not, I'll just drop it at the bottom. There's an alternative design, which is frankly only slightly better because you can see and read what it says, but I don't think this one's official either. Oh, Huntington, you poor city. 2004 happened to be the year when they changed the flag, and it was too late as Nava already picked the old flag for the city, and man, it's bad. I really think that most of these flags have a white background and it really makes them look worse. This one's just putrid. Geared for progress they were, however, as they changed to a slightly better looking seal on a white sheet, which honestly I would rate somewhere in the middle of this list. However, in 2021, they changed the seal into a surprisingly really cool looking seal. Like, yeah, it's still a seal on a white sheet, but as far as my knowledge goes, which is 3 seals maybe, this is one of the best ones I've ever seen. Probably right below Provo for me. We've reached the bottom of the list and, oh boy, if you've never seen this flag, then you're in for one hell of a treat. Pocatello is an otherwise unremarkable city which became very famous in vexillologist circles for literally violating every single principle of flag design. Not even that, just design in general. For crying out loud, the flag has a trademark logo and a copyright logo as well. I'll spare the criticism since this flag was talked about for way more than it deserves, but in its defense, it wasn't officially used in anything, so it wasn't really an interesting flag until Nava found out about it and went on a roller coaster with it. Naturally, however, the flag gave a bad image to the city, so Pocatello announced they will be redesigning it. The outcome of that redesign, I would dare say, is a vexillological masterpiece indeed. I would even say it's just as good as the Milwaukee design, if not slightly better, and somehow it even manages to carry a similar vibe to the old one without looking remotely bad. Very good job, Pocatello. You gave a city that would have been forgotten after being destroyed in the Second American Civil War a lasting legacy for the ages. I would show you a final ranking, but you already know it's just divided into good flags and unchanged flags, and Provo, I'm not really sure what to think of you. So, what is the best flag a US city has to offer?